Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of College Blitz. I'm Russ Morgan here with my man Q. Q, we are inching closer to college football. We obviously got preseason, but I mean, college football, actual meaningful football, like games that actually matter, right around the corner. How we doing today?
All is good, brother. We got 8 days, like we talked about, man. 8 days till P4 football, right? We're not talking FCS. We're not talking, no disrespect, right? But the football that we care about, the football that we've all been waiting for, the football that keeps us, glued to the TV, no matter what, is big boy football, power four football, and we've got that 8 nights from tonight, man. So I'm ready, man. I've been ready, since February, since the Super Bowl ended, and man, it's right around the corner, brother. And
I've been ready
absolutely
since
cannot wait.
January ended. So a few things I need. Like I love my pro football, but like on Sundays I'll usually watch like the morning slate where there's some good, or whichever slate that, I guess it's not morning anymore. Now I don't live in California. The 1 p.m. slate, that's the best games, watch that. Take the afternoon off, watch, Sunday night football. Obviously watch, Monday and Thursday. But college football is like, there's no break for me. I'm watching all day. And it's probably because there's so many good games. I mean, first off, you don't have to pay for it. I mean, you've got all those good games are on. But there's so many good, there's 3-4 good games on at a time. This game's not doing well. I can flip over here. But I'm jacked.
Yeah, man. Like we talked about, obviously, I mean, we do this show for a reason. And just the thought of it kicking off, man, I'm hyped. And, football, once it starts, when you look at the days of the week it encompasses, right? You got, Thursday, obviously you got Sunday, Monday with the NFL. You got Thursday, Saturday with college. As the season, kind of goes along, then you kind of mix in the action, going on Tuesday, and you get like some, now the games start kind of going, there's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to kind of the back end of the college football season. So, man, I'm ready. I'm excited. And we got part 5 tonight, right? Part 5 of our 5-part series on potential contenders, man, and what could keep them from.
Is that why you're doing the concert right now? Like you're giving your girlfriend a little something before football starts? That you won't be like, once football starts, you're in a coma.
She knows.
She's got
I wouldn't call her a football widow, right? Because she has bought in, right? Like we're going, we're taking some football trips this year. And she obviously looks, she looks forward to that and everything. And so, I try to make it, so that like the stops that we make, right? Obviously, I try to, when the non-football time, try and line up some stuff that we can both enjoy, right? Not only football, but she's a trooper, man. She knows what time it is when football starts, and but she's embraced it. She's a Falcons fan.
Those brunches are mandatory, right?
Say again?
Those brunches are mandatory.
Yeah, listen, man. It's a partnership. It's a balance, right? You got to find the balance, right? Because if not, then it's not going to work. So, man, I've tried my best to make sure that she's enjoying the time and not only there just for me, right? Just putting up with me and whatever mood I'm in, depending on the result of the game and everything like that, man. So, she's a trooper. She's she has fun. I don't know if she enjoys it as much as I do, but she does enjoy it. So, definitely there, we try to do a little football, a little non-football stuff, and everybody's happy. So,
well, it'll be easier when you go to Miami. You go to the Hurricanes game and be like, oh, you got the beach there. Go to the beach. That takes away a lot.
Yeah, for that one, man, we're staying on Fort Lauderdale Beach. So we'll be able to get in a little beach time. Be able to get in a little, get some food and some beach time, and we'll mix in some football and that whole deal. So, again, man, we try to mix it up, make it more than just football, so she can enjoy herself also. So, but she's a trooper, and she's cool with tagging along and putting up with my football nonsense. So,
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's not the only one out there in the sports universe, having to to deal with that, here in the next week or two. So shout out to all the understanding ladies, who who put up with all our football nonsense and and partner with us to help us get through this, help us get through the season when things aren't going our way. So shout out to y'all. But yeah, man, like we talked about, right? Part 5, right? Where we end with Texas. And if I yeah, right, everyone's down, right?
I'm sorry. Like, hey, I respect you. I mean, I think they're gonna be great. My sister went to OU, so I got no problem with them. But I got to go with OU. My sister, I got family went to OU. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I see that. I see that. What if? So we'll start with a little trivia. See where Texas is starting off the season ranked, right? They're starting off the season ranked number 1, right? How many times before this year did Texas start the season ranked number 1?
No clue. Once.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, let's go 07.
Never.
They didn't start number 1?
They've never started the season before
Not
25.
I mean, I know Vince Young left, but still after the national title.
They've never started the season ranked number 1. Now they got up, obviously. I mean, they won a title. They won titles last year. They peaked at number 1 after starting at number 4, but they've never started the season ranked number 1, which I'm totally shocked at when you consider the type of program Texas is, the type of talent that's come through there, the coaching, right? Everything about the Texas Longhorns. I was shocked when I heard that the other day. They had never started the season ranked number 1 in the polls.
I'm ready for the Arch madness, the Arch mania to start, because the amount of times, and don't get me wrong, Arch could be one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen, but the amount of times I'm hearing, Texas can be so much better. I'm like, well, first off, Quinn was pretty damn good when he was healthy. Yeah, I mean, like it's a live and die with Quinn Ewers. He's a gunslinger. Yeah. But I mean, like, and they were a very good team. So like, Arch makes this so much better. I'm like, yes, he could. He's played 2 meaningful games.
Yeah.
And we're already crowning him the number 1 pick next year. First off, he could just pull a Peyton, his uncle, and just say, no, I'm good. I want to stay back and learn. But I mean, the amount of hype this guy's has had for playing 2 games is insane.
Yeah, obviously the name Arch Manning, from the time anybody knew who he was in high school, obviously, he was generating a lot of hype. From the time he was uncommitted. A lot of people speculating on whether he was going to Tennessee, or whether he was going to Ole Miss, or wherever he was going. I think really early on, and I even saw some pictures of him the other day, in Texas gear when he was a kid. So I think that was probably his dream school. From the time that he was really young and wasn't necessarily interested in following either of his uncles to one of their schools and everything like that. So it worked out for him. Obviously, that kid could have gone wherever he wanted. Speculate whatever you want on his high school competition, who he played against, and the whole deal. But there's no denying. I mean, the kid is talented. We'll see exactly, how good he is this year. We're obviously going to get a chance to, to see him from snap 1, right? Where he's
elite defense.
Yeah, he's year 3 of college football, and obviously different offseason for him this year, getting all the starter reps, and there's no mistaking his position and his role on this team, right? He's the unquestioned starter, and now we get to see exactly there's no tiptoeing into the schedule, right? You start off from the word go, you got to go to Columbus, and we're going to find out really early on if he's going to be able to live up to the hype, right? Because he's going to be put to the test really really early on, And we'll see if he's ready, and we'll see if his team's ready.
I do like, honestly, I did like Arch. Think about it, not going to Ole Miss or going to not going to Tennessee, just to blaze his own path. Because you go to Ole Miss, yes, you're going to get the Eli, but you're going to get the Arch comparisons. You go to Tennessee, you're going to get paid. I mean, he's going to go there. He can make his own name. Now, obviously, NIL, everybody's heard of Arch Manning, obviously because of the name and all the money that they throw around. No one's actually ever, said how much he actually took, if he took all that money when he wasn't playing, like he said he wasn't. But I mean, I do. It was a kind of a mature decision. Like, oh yeah, I can just go to Tennessee. Oh, I can go to Ole Miss. My dad played there for Christ. Like Cooper Manning played there. Now he's going to go to Texas. I do like him being under Sark for 2 years. I think he's going to learn. Sarkisian is a hell of a coach. Not just speaking of what he does on the offensive side of the ball. So 2 years under Ewers, 2 years in that Sarkisian system. I think we'll see what he learned. Yep.
Well, listen, let's start from the top with Texas, man, in 2024, right? A team that in the regular season went 11-2, right? And if it wouldn't have been for Georgia, they wouldn't have had any issues in the regular season, right? 11-2, 2 losses to Georgia, 1 in the regular season, 1 in the SEC title game. They end up finishing 13-3, lose to the eventual national champs, the Ohio State, the Ohio State, Buckeyes in the semis of the college football playoff. And, a season that, I don't think surprised anybody, right? A season in which they really maximized, what they had going on, even with people clamoring for Arch. And I think, honestly, last year, there was times where I think you could have justified, sitting Quinn Ewers, right? And playing a guy like Arch Manning, a guy who, obviously limited snaps, but a guy who, wasn't a true freshman or anything last year. I think, again, a lot of people, were on that, bench Quinn, train, and I think justifiably so at times. I think, he had some, some highs, also some lows. I think, not always, great, right, when it counted most, but, still operated, an offense, that was like a top 25 offense. I mean, they were really, really good. And again, lost twice to Georgia, which, no shame in that, took them to the semis and obviously the end of his career at Texas. But, again, now, coming into 25, he's the unquestioned starter and we'll see where that goes. But, again, you really have to look at, the 24 season and think, man, this is what you expect Texas to be when you consider, where it is that they're at in the landscape of college football, right? You look at, again, a huge brand, right, coming over from the Big 12. They come into the SEC, and I think a lot of people maybe had some doubts, right? Them in Oklahoma, obviously, they've had a better start to their SEC tenure than Oklahoma has. But I think a lot of people, at least from where I'm sitting and what I was listening to, I think a lot of people kind of doubted, their ability in terms of coming over to the SEC. And really, establishing a footprint, right? And how are they gonna recruit against the rest of the SEC, and how are they gonna play against the rest of the SEC? Is Sark really the guy who can lead this transition into the SEC? And the hype and everything behind the conference, right? It just means more and the whole deal. And I just think a lot of people got caught up in a lot of the ancillary stuff and didn't look at what was in front of them. And what was in front of them is, again, you talk about, first and foremost, right, the brand. You talk about the way Sark can recruit. You talk about, their backing, with NIL. And you're looking at all this, a guy like a Sark who's been at big programs, right, who's been at USC at the height of their powers, right, and went to Alabama, saw what a national title program looks like. So, all those things considered, I'm not the least bit surprised of what Texas did last year and where presumably we can see, this program going in the very near future.
I'm with you. I mean, if we're really going to the SEC is in Texas. With Texas A&M getting there, so the recruiting is not the issue. The SEC is in Texas now. Texas is a massive brand. They obviously have massive reach with the money, much more. Even though A&M's got a lot of money, Texas has that bigger brand. I know A&M fans are probably cussing me out when I say that right now, but it's the University of Texas. Sarkisian's has been in college football for a long time, working under Saban, working under Pete Carroll. I get it. There's a lot of ups, but there are some downs. I think with Quinn, he's a gunslinger. You live and die with him, like you saw against Arizona State. Arizona State was around for a long time, but when he's on, he's on. But he can be off too.
Arizona State made that one a game.
Yeah, I don't. In my opinion, it wasn't much of a. It was a football game. I'm saying it wasn't like a good game. It was like a good one quarter, and then Texas decides to disappear for 2 and 3, and Arizona State turns it on, and then we're going to start playing again. I'm like, could we get a consistent 4 quarters of football so far? Because college football playoff, every single game was bad going into that. But Texas, they could have ended up winning that game if Jack Sawyer didn't have that return.
Yep.
So they were right there. Yes, you're going to lose a lot this year, which we'll definitely talk about a little later. But I think Steve Sarkisian's got him on the right path. Definitely a lot of football in his blood. Obviously, coaching under 2 greats in Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. He knows how it works, the recruiting works, how everything works. Obviously, not drinking anymore, so that helps too. But definitely, I didn't see them. In my opinion, I was I see them competing. I didn't see them getting to the title game, so they did exceed a little bit over that for me, but I didn't see the drastic. They're gonna struggle in the SEC just because it's just the Big 12. Oh, they play no defense. Well, Texas plays some really stout defense.
Yeah. You look at his tenure at Texas, right? You start kind of from the jump. The 2021 season, right, when he takes over. They finishes up. I think they're like the 15th ranked class, if I'm not mistaken. When he takes over, right, and the 15th ranked class the year he takes over in 20 and 21, right, and then that year obviously not a great year, that right, they go out and go 5-7. The next year, right, 8-5, right, so slow incremental progress, and then in 23, right, he goes 12-2. And they make the playoff, right? And then you look at, the way they've been recruiting, right? Ever since that number 15 class in 21, every year since then they've been in the single digits, right? They've been recruiting their asses off, and again, that's something you talk about. A guy like Sarkisian, who is not only is he a good recruiter, but then now you back him with the Texas brand, you back him with NIL and the resources available to him at Texas, man. And again, I don't know that that maybe anybody is truly surprised or taken back by the way that he's got this thing rolling, man. They look like they're going to be around for a long time. Assuming that his health is where it needs to be. I remember seeing something on him not too long ago where he had some heart procedure done, and he can't even exercise and with any. He can't really he walks essentially for exercise, right? He can't do any strenuous exercise or something because of his heart. So that's kind of crazy, right? When you consider the stressful nature of the position that he's in and what he does for a living, it's, and this is me purely speculating, right? I don't have MD next to my name, but it does kind of make you wonder, when you hear stuff like that, what his long-term, prognosis is, and long-term, what job security in terms of what his health allows him to be long-term. So that'll be interesting, right? But again, as long as he's at Texas, I could see this team, really being a factor. And, I see no reason why, again, you look at what they think of them, right? Ranking them as the number one team in the country to start the season. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be more shocked to see them miss the playoff this year. And then I would be to see them, at the end of the season, even if they haven't won a title, right, to be right there, either playing for the title or going maybe as far as they did last year. But, again, man, with Sarkisian there and the way they got that thing rolling, man, especially now in the NIL era, I don't see him slowing down, and I don't see Texas, falling off anytime soon.
We're giving Texas a lot of praise right now, but obviously the point of these series, and this is the last part of the series, is why they won't win. And I want to go to you first. Obviously, what are some of the reasons that you have a little concern why they won't maybe win it all this year?
Well, listen, when you start at the top and you start with any SEC program, right? I think the very obvious place to begin is the schedule, right? And man, look, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't know. And listen, I may be in the minority on this, and I may be blasted for this, right? But I'm not super worried about their schedule, right? Like, I get what the first game is, right? But if you're going to play Ohio State, right, August 30th of 2025, after them just having won a national title, this is where you want to play Ohio State. Like, I get it's on the road, right? I get the kickoff time. I get what it's like, in terms of, the shoe and everything like that. I get it. But right now, to me, gun to my head, and who I think is going to win that game, I think Texas wins that game, me personally. Right? You're looking at Ohio State. And then after that, man, you're going, listen, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, right? Those are wins. You're at Florida, which that's going to be a tough game. You have to imagine, right? The week after, you got Oklahoma, and then after that, man, look, Kentucky, how good is Kentucky going to be? I don't know if they're going to be great. Mississippi State probably not going to be very good. Vanderbilt, then they go to Georgia. That's their recent nemesis. I don't know about that one. But then Arkansas and then Texas A&M, right? So listen, I wouldn't call it an easy schedule. I don't know that it's the daunting schedule. Like, for example, it's not Florida's schedule, right? Florida plays a ridiculous schedule, right? So I'm not looking at the schedule and seeing a bunch of losses, right? Then the next thing I'll go to, right, just like you have to do with everybody, is what do they have in terms of attrition, right? And who did they lose? Obviously, a team like Texas, with how great they were last year, you expect them to lose players. And I think where they were hit the hardest, right, where the most attrition is the offensive line, right? Because they lost obviously big time guys at DB, right? Jadae Barron, obviously, a huge loss. Excuse me. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, obviously went in the first round. Alfred Collins, D tackle, went in the second round of the Niners, so on and so forth. So, again, you lost talent, right? But to me, their defensive backfield is going to be loaded, right? Even with losing Jadae Barron and everything. I think where you have to look, the position group that I would be most concerned with would be offensive line. Right. And what's going to help you now is transitioning from Quinn Ewers to Arch, where obviously Arch, has legs, and he can scramble, he can move, right? Where Quinn Ewers was the total opposite. Right. And so, if you ask me to look at a position where I was a little bit concerned with, just based on what they've lost, would be offensive line. But then you're looking at what it is that, that they've brought in, and the talent they have. And, I don't know if again, I'm just not super concerned with with what it is, that they have to replace. So, again, man, I don't know at the schedule, right? Going back to what you asked me, the two things that would concern me: schedule, attrition, right? The schedule I'm not crazy concerned about, and what you have to replace on the offensive line, I get what it is, obviously, because those guys, drafted and drafted high for a reason. But with how loaded these guys are, I don't see them. I really don't see them struggling to replace what they've lost. I don't know if you feel any different about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're losing Golden, you lose Isaiah Bond is going to be a big hit. But like you said, with the recruiting, there's going to be guys who are going to come up and take over for that. Not obviously not going to be. You got DeAndre Moore, you got sophomore Ryan Wingo. You might with the freshman, was it Lockett? Who's the number
Jamie French. Jamie French is a 5-star.
Lockett was the number two receiver in the 25 class.
Yeah, Dalen McCutcheon.
So
Michael Terry, Nick Brooks.
You lose.
Yeah, you're gonna have you're gonna have the you're gonna have Wingo, right? And you're gonna have Moore, right? Are gonna be your go-tos. Right, but then after that, you got Emmett Mosley who transferred in, and then, dude, out of those that receiver route, I think they brought in the number one receiver haul in the country, and you have to figure that of those guys they brought in, there's going to be, if you talk about those guys being like your wide receiver, 4, let's say, right? There's going to be, those guys are way too talented to not fill that wide receiver 4 spot. So, again, did you lose Matthew Golden? Did you lose Isaiah Bond? You did, but I just don't see them missing a beat, man.
I mean, losing Jahdae Barron, Thorpe Award winner. Shout out to Bobby Finstock. That was Bobby's guy through the whole draft process. Was Jahdae Barron, and I know he got some flack for that pick for saying he was like, I'd be happy if because he was saying that, and he was still considered a 25 pick. And Bobby was like, I wouldn't be mad if they took him at 13, but I'm like, he could be pretty darn good. But I mean, you lose him, but you still have Michael Taffy, was it Jelani McDonald, Malik Muhammad? I mean, you still got guys who can replace him. Yeah, I mean, you still have four guys for the safety spots who can replace that. Obviously, replacing the Thorpe Award, but with what Texas has been able to do in recent years, you're going to get a 5-star guy to come in who's got the talent to take over. Now, will the talent match the play on the field? Who knows? But they have the natural ability to get that done.
Yeah, they, again, when you talk about attrition and what went out the door, it's always interesting to me with these programs and how they replenish, right? And if you look at what Texas has done with the amount of money, right, that is pumped in to NIL, to back their talent acquisition efforts and stuff, you're looking at what they're doing. And I don't know if you notice or if people are talking about that enough, but you really have to like the way they're building, because the money is going to high school recruiting, right? If you look at what they've done in the portal, where they've been selective, right? They brought in their big acquisition for me, right, based on what I know, is I would say Murad Watson was the defensive tackle from Syracuse. This kid is I don't think he's reached his ceiling quite yet, but a guy with a body type, to play in the SEC, a guy who showed really well last year at Syracuse. And so when you're looking at what they're bringing in and where they're allocating funds, you look at the roster, and it is the high school recruiting, and you can tell that's a fact, because look at where they're finishing in terms, right? They finished up with the number one class in 25, and even the 2 previous classes before that, they're all, I think one of them was ranked number 4, one of them was ranked number 3 or something like that. So they're definitely putting in the effort to recruit. The money's going into the high school recruiting, and then they're selectively choosing out of the transfer portal to kind of backfill some of those players they've lost. But man, you look at that two deep, it's overall it's super talented. You're looking at it and you're not seeing a bunch of upperclassmen in the defense. You got some guys obviously that are right. You got Ethan Burke at the jack position. Obviously, he's a senior. Anthony Hill, who you can make an argument is the best linebacker in the country going into his junior year now. Colin Simmons, he's not an upperclassman, but a guy who was a freshman, All-American last year, who's an absolute stud. And then in the back end, say again.
9 sacks last year.
Yeah, the guy's a stud. The only freshman edge / defensive end that I saw last year that was probably better than him. I wouldn't say probably. I'd say he was better than him. Was the kid at South Carolina, Stewart, the defensive end of South Carolina. That guy was an absolute menace at South Carolina last year. So to me, I would say he had a better freshman year than Colin Simmons. But again, not many freshmen did. And so again, you look on the back end, you've got some upperclassmen, right? You got Giovanni McDonald, who's a junior. Malik Muhammad is a junior. You got Michael Taffy's a senior. Jalen Gilbo, who's a senior. So you got some upperclassmen as starters in the on the defense, but you're looking around on the offense, and again the team as a whole, and you've got a good mix of, you got some upperclassmen, you got some experience, and then mixing it in with some newer guys and some talent and everything like that. So again, man, when you're looking at this team and you're looking at what could hold them back, if that O-line doesn't come together, if you're looking at a lot of ifs, but a lot of ifs that if I would take, I think most teams would take these ifs and these question marks, right? I mean, with the talent on this team, you really have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I think obviously with all the fan commentary last year of Arch coming in over Ewers, which valid, but I mean, I think with the O-line this year, especially with having to play Ohio State right off the bat, because Arch is going to come in. He's learning this. He's learning the system, but he's going to have to come in full right off the bat. Him having the legs that he's got is going to be able to, okay, this guy can roll out. We can't just be like, he's rolling out. We can't just be like, he's running the ball. No, he's got a cannon. So he's going to be looking downfield to pass first, but those wheels will be able to mask the O-line issues definitely early, and then you're going to have 3 games of nice comfort where we'll get our feel going before we get into our SEC schedule.
Yeah, the timing of the attrition at offensive line works out in their favor in that you're replacing Ewers with Arch, and he's got that scrambling ability, right? So I think you'd be more worried if it was Quinn Ewers behind this new offensive line, right? I think a little less so, with Arch Manning, who can scramble, and then not to mention the fact, that you got a stable of absolute stud running backs behind them, right? You've got a stable of stud wide receivers that you're going to be throwing to. So it's not necessarily just the Arch Manning show, right? I mean, he's going to be surrounded by so much talent, and then not to mention the fact
went for over 1,000 yards, caught 5 touchdowns, 44 passes for 311 yards and 1 touchdown. So I mean, it's gonna be comfortable. That backfield's not losing anything, which has been I mean, like the component I've seen, everything we've been talking about is and the 4-part series. What are they going to do in the backfield and a new quarterback? Well, they got a new quarterback, but they got a veteran guy in the backfield who's going to be able to open up that passing game for Arch.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Quintravian Wisner, right, who had a really good year last year, and then right behind him, man, C.J. Baxter, was a 5-star kid coming out. Jared Gibson, 5-star kid behind him, right? And so, again, I don't see there being even them losing Jadon Blue, right, who got drafted by the Cowboys, and the whole deal. I just don't see them really having a fall off at the running back position. I think they're gonna start up right where they left off. And again, man, it's you have the benefit of a guy like Arch again with those legs again, who will be able to make up for whatever shortcomings the offensive line has. And again, in my opinion, I just don't think they're going to be long-term shortcomings. I think you start off with Ohio State, but also with an Ohio State, when you talk about attrition, an Ohio State team that lost a ton on both sides of the ball, right? 16 starters.
A lot of turnover too.
Yeah, 16 starters, I want to say, across both sides of the ball. And so, and the majority of that being, bless you, the majority of that being on the D-line, right? I mean, the talent that they lost on the D-line. So
I mean, if I'm going off of players lost, of what coach I would take with having to do a turnover, I would take Steve Sarkisian over Ryan Day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a stretch, right? I mean, I think, again, Ryan Day now, he's won a title, right? So I think people people have to give him his credit, right? No matter what, really, the loaded team and right, they should have won that. And listen, but he won it, right? So I think that buys him, some good grace in Columbus, right? Which he didn't have early on, after losing to Michigan, for the fourth straight time, right? But I think he made up for it with winning a title. And obviously, in Columbus, where you expect titles every single year, that's not going to last super long. But I don't think, that if you're Ohio State, I don't think, you stick a fork in them after, if they would have to lose to Texas. But again, going back to the topic is, I think Texas, if you're looking at it just kind of in a vacuum, oh man, they're opening the season at Columbus and the whole deal. Yeah, right. Obviously, it won't be an easy game, won't be an easy environment to play in. But again, if you want to, I don't think they would choose any better time or any more favorable time to open up against Ohio State than first game in 25 after Ohio State lost what they did, especially on the defense side of the ball. I think this is tailor-made for Arch Manning, to have a good, coming out party too. And honestly, man, like I said, I think I saw where Ohio State was the favorite. But right now, man, for real, my money would be on Texas going up there and winning that game. I honestly think they're going to win that game.
I mean, it's going to be obviously it's, first game of the day. Everybody's going to watch it. Trying to check what the line is right now.
Yeah, I think I saw. I think I saw. Was it 2.5, 3 points? I don't know, something like that. I think is what I saw just a few days ago. Either I saw or I heard one of those. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know Ohio State is favored.
Just it's in the big the shoe. So I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, you get, you 3 points, for being at home, basically, is what they say. So
Ohio State -2.5.
There you go.
Over under 48. But I don't think, like we've said, I don't think there's many things going to hold this team back. It's going to be Arch's progression into a full-time starting role, the offensive line. But I mean, they have so many talented guys. You just got to see if the talent, matches the play that they put on the field. But I don't think this is going to hold him back. I think Arch is, with all his resources and everything, he's going to be able to get through it. And being 2 years into the program, learning the program, not just, playing. He's sitting back, learning the program, doing the research. I mean, it's definitely good for Texas, and I don't see much of a fall off this year.
No, man. Listen, the thing is, again, you take that in a vacuum, right? And you say, oh man, it's the first time he's gonna starting the season as as the number one and everything, right? And he hasn't played really significant snaps and the whole deal. But again, I bank on, right, the talent. I bank on the pedigree. I bet on the mental makeup, right? This is a guy who's been in it. It isn't a new OC situation, right? He's been in this offense under the same play caller, right, under the same coach and the whole deal. And so you bet on that, right? He's not transitioning to a new OC. And, again, third year in college, right? This kid is he's I want to say he's I think they consider him a junior. I don't know if he's a retro sophomore or a true junior, but either way, 3 years, in the program, right? And so even with his lack of experience, you have to like what he's got in his favor in terms of him starting for the first time and him starting in such an intimidating place, like it is playing the shoe. So, again, man, listen, when you talk about what could hold this team back, given the benefit of health, right? If they got all their guys and all their important pieces healthy and the whole deal, I just, when you're looking at what it is that can hold this team back, man, and what it is that gets you to contend, right? And more, we're looking at, again, you have to be good on the offensive line. You have to be good on the defensive line, right? You have to have a good quarterback. You don't necessarily have to have a superstar quarterback. I think we proved that last year. When you look at, who went to the playoff, who won the title, like, I don't know that there was any superstar quarterbacks, right? I mean, I think there were good quarterbacks, but none of them were studs. I think everybody won the same way. I think you were really good on defense, right? You were really good on the line of scrimmage, right? You were good at quarterback, right? Obviously, you weren't bad at quarterback. You were good at quarterback, and you were good at corner. And I think more and more when you look at, all these teams that are contending and are going to be around for a long time, I think they're winning the same way. And I think the formula is going to remain the same. I think as long as you're squared away on those 4 fronts right there, offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, and corner, I think you're going to have a chance. And when you look at Texas, in my opinion, and what my eyes are looking at is check, 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 check. Yeah. I think they check off all 4 boxes. You add to that, really good coaching, right? Continuity on the coaching side of things. And I just don't see a scenario where Texas isn't in this thing come into the year.
Yeah, same. I mean, 12th, they're going to be in the playoffs. They'll be there for but definitely, all year we'll see. There'll be if they lose week 1, there'll be those doubters. But it's week 1, and it's a different playoff format now. That one game's not knocking you out. So I mean, I definitely I don't see too many like we've said. I don't see too many things keeping this team down this year with the experience of the coaching staff, with the experience they brought back. Yes, you lose some key players to the NFL, but they have experienced guys on both sides of the ball. I definitely see this team playing late into January, or just, into the playoffs playing late, especially if we're projecting if everybody's projecting what Arch is supposed to be, they're going to be right there in those final 4 is what,
Yeah. And the other thing, man, like we talked about the schedule, right? When you look at it, and what are 2 big things you're not seeing on that schedule, right? If we're talking, obviously there's no divisions anymore, but traditionally, right, when you're looking at where Texas will be playing at, when you're looking at what they're missing right there in terms of who's not on their schedule, right? They don't play LSU, and there's no Alabama, right? So for whatever their schedule is, right, and again, everybody can speculate on what Florida's going to be, right? I think they're going to be good. I just know the record is really going to show, based on their schedules. Their schedule is going to be super tough again. But again, if you're Texas and you're looking at who it is you could have landed on your schedule, I think as a fan, you have to like not playing Alabama and you have to like not playing LSU, right? I think, I would take Florida and Texas A&M. Obviously, Georgia, going to Georgia isn't necessarily ideal. But, again, it could be worse, right?
Georgia this year.
Say again?
I'd take Georgia this year.
Yeah, exactly. Right. When you're looking at, what it is they're replacing, right? You're replacing, Carson Beck now full-time with Gunnar Stockton. And you've got, you've got offensive linemen to replace. And obviously, I think my view on, what Georgia is, not to digress or anything, but, we've talked about, and I've made my views, very well known on what I think Georgia's coaching is like at the OC and the offensive line position. But, there again, I don't see Georgia being a better team than Texas. this year. Even again, I get what happened last year. I get Georgia beat them twice, but that was 24. In 25, I don't see Georgia being a better team. Now, does that necessarily mean that Texas, goes into Athens and beats Georgia? No, not necessarily. But I definitely don't see, Georgia being a better team than Texas this year. So
I mean, yeah, definitely not going to play LSU.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's big because I mean, there's high hopes for LSU this year if Brian Kelly can get it done. Did you? A little digressing. Did you see that 4-week span of Florida's schedule where they play LSU, Miami, Texas A&M 4 weeks in a row?
That's insane. That's insane. Bro.
And two of them is go to Death Valley, go to Miami, and then you got at home at Texas, and then you got to go to College Station.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, man. That's going to be tough. Again, that schedule all the way across the board is daunting. And whoever put that together, they definitely did not do that team and that coaching staff any favors whatsoever.
Then you got Mississippi State who's down. Then you got to play Georgia and Jacksonville. Then you got to play Ole Miss and Oxford, Tennessee, and then end up holy shit. Have fun. Which is a team that, ended up on starting to look better at the end of the year. Now you're going to have to go there. I'm like, Billy Napier, you get 6 wins. You're like, hey, you're fired. But with that schedule, you get 6-7 wins. That's –
Man, look, 7 wins with that schedule, man. I think you have to like tip your cap to him because, again, man, that's a tough one, man. I do not envy them for that schedule, man. That again, DJ Lagway already not being the healthiest guy in the preseason. I think he's gonna have to buckle up with that schedule because there's going to be.
Quick question: was it CJ Baxter? He's from Orlando. Is that high school Edgewater pretty good?
Very good.
Very good high school.
Yeah. Orlando Edgewater is a really, really good football program. Traditionally, it's a program that not only are they really good, they put out a lot of talent. They're always good for producing a lot of Division I talent for sure.
Dude, I was driving. I was driving yesterday and I had to do a delivery to IMG, so I had to go all the way to the back, driving through. And they have their campus, which is a massive building. And then they have their massive basketball gym. And then they have their athletic training facility. And then they have their sports science center and then there's
crazy.
5 football fields and then 6 baseball fields and then soccer fields all over the back and a driving range and a golf course.
That's insane, man.
It was insane. I've checked it out. I've never gone all the way back to and there's 15 soccer fields back there and, a massive football stadium, nothing compared to anything like they got in Texas. But still.
But I'm sure that campus can rival anybody's. Anybody's campus, right? Anybody who thinks that they've got, some money and some facilities. I think that's right up there with anybody's.
Nothing rivals that. That's compound.
Yeah,
literally a compound.
Well, it's a boarding school, right? IMG's a boarding school.
A boarding school, and people come in and just come for coaching.
No, but in terms of for IMG football, right? Those guys, they live there. Right.
Yeah.
It's a boarding school in the sense of all these kids that come from different parts of the country and the whole deal. They come there and they live on campus and everything like that. So, it's a boarding school in that sense.
They got restaurants, they have food, they have, people, I know my brother-in-law who's from Bradenton and lived obviously his whole life here. He's literally it's on 53rd right after Cortez is one of our big streets. And there's a big, shopping center there, right next to the campus. So people will come in once every every year, once every couple of years, and put a new restaurant in because they think, oh, all the kids will come here and eat. And it dies after a year and a half because the kids never have to leave the campus because,
Wow.
they got restaurants, they got a full nutritionist, they got all your pick of food. They never leave the campus.
Yeah, it's its own little self-contained, community there, right? I mean, it's live, work, play, essentially, right? I mean, you do everything there. You don't have any real need, to leave campus, and so, yeah. I mean, man, bro, that must be a great thing, man. To be a top athlete, in 25 and have that type of those type of benefits afforded to you in terms of being at that school.
Parents are racking in the money because it ain't cheap either.
Yeah, no, I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine
I talked to one of the football coaches there. Well, first off, he told me, he's like, dude, it took me. I used to work for the Arizona Cardinals in like the front office, and I came here. I wanted to coach football, and then he had family members sick. He was from Florida, so he had to come back. He's like, it took him about 6 months to get all his paperwork processed. But I was talking to him. I lost my train of thought. It's just not. I mean, he was saying people will come in for the coaches and stay there, and they'll pay $1,000 a day to stay there. You'll fly in for 10 days to stay in their condos.
Wow.
And that's not talking about the coaching, what they're paying.
Yeah, for the clinic and all that
and
stuff.
People are saying 7 to 10 days for coaching lessons.
Damn.
It's insane.
Factory, man. It's a factory.
Well, that's crazy. It was. I know. My brother-in-law's his father was, because started off as a tennis academy. He was he was one of like the first couple coaches he hired to come to Bradenton to be a tennis coach before it was IMG.
What was it Nick Bolatelli, or what was that guy's name?
Nick Bollettieri.
Yeah, and I know I think he coached like Andre Agassi and some big time people.
Yeah,
and I mean some huge names. I remember. So, yeah, so that was where it all started. Yeah, man. But it's
missed
grown
out on the Williams sisters, but
Say again.
Missed out on the Williams sisters.
Well, no, nobody. Mr. Williams wasn't letting anybody else coach. That guy ruled. That guy ruled with an iron fist. So nobody missed out on them. He simply was not going to allow anybody but him to coach him. And that's a whole different segment for a whole nother pod, and you get into all that with the old man and in Venus and Serena. But no, nobody missed out on them. He just simply wasn't letting anybody else coach his girls. That's how that went. I got ruled with an iron fist. So
Richard didn't play.
Yeah, that's right, man. Richard was the real deal, man. So again, nobody missed out on that.
You got to be a little tough to grow up in Compton and live in Compton.
Yeah.
That time and era.
100%.
I mean, I'm from Southern California. I mean, I went to I played baseball in Compton since 8th grade. I went to Compton College. It was not it's still pretty rough. It wasn't as rough as it was in those times.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, with old King Richard, that was, like I said, man, that was him and his girls, man, and nothing else and nobody else. That wasn't happening. So, but yeah, man, it's amazing what IMG's turned into, man. I've heard the stories. Now to hear from somebody, who I know now who's been there and seen that. And
I've been trying to get in, and I've been trying to get in since I've moved here. Oh, and yeah. I was like, and every time, no, I don't. You're like, we went with someone else. I'm like, trying to get in. I'm like, I coached at one of the best high school baseballs in the nation, teams in the nation at Orange Lutheran High School, which is consistently ranked top 10 in the nation for baseball, which is football is getting better, but they play Trinity leagues like St. John Bosco, modern day. So obviously football is going to be tough to break in for football, but baseball, they're ranked top 10. I get rejected so many times. I'm like,
yeah, really?
Oh yeah. But it's like a compound, like you said, compound inner circle type of thing. very tight.
Yeah, and I would figure that based on what you're telling me, that the resumes of the people who put in for those positions, obviously they're going to be targeting, because of who they target in terms of the athlete that they want to attract and the prices that they charge. They justify that by hiring people who they can tell parents, it's like, hey, we just hired John Doe, who spent time in this organization, that organization, right? Played in the major, right? Like that is, it's not about what
It's not
what you
about,
are.
And not saying they probably have great coaches, but it's not obviously 100% about who's going to make my player better. It's also, how can I recruit more players to come here?
Yeah,
and I got this former ball player, this former football player coming. That name's gonna hold a lot more weight.
Yeah,
I worked in sports. A lot of sports is that, which
name recognition. It's name recognition. You have to sell your product, right? And IMG is the product, right? To sell that product, right, you have to sell name recognition. You have to sell familiarity, right? And if you don't have that backing, man, if you don't have that on your resume in terms of like, oh, I played here, I played high level, whatever, I've coached in this organization, that I can't imagine, just again, I can't even begin to imagine what the competition is like for any time one of those positions opens up. I can't imagine the competition for those positions and the resumes that they're receiving from across the country. I would imagine.
Oh yeah, not just Florida. Across.
Yeah, from everywhere, because people will move. That's a destination job at the high school level. That's a destination job, right? And I would imagine the way you're compensated and what that's going to look like on your resume. That's a
at the high school job. Level at any sport, you're not making a full-time wage. You're making at a high school level. You're making a stipend, but you'll go coach, but then they'll set you up. You go work full time. You'll just be a athlete liaison type of thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I mean, but I'm jacked up this year, Q. I'm gonna throw it back to you. I'm jacked up. Football around the corner. I know we gotta figure out a time to get together next week, because we got to do some predictions and stuff like that. But we got to figure out that time next week when we got to get back together.
Oh yeah,
talk more college football.
We'll figure it out, brother. We'll figure it out. So man, that's gonna do it for our for part 5 of our title contender series. Man, we went through some big time programs. We missed we missed a few. We didn't do Clemson, LSU. Obviously two big time programs that I think, obviously, given the talent, that they have, especially the quarterback position, I think, two teams that are going to be in it, there till the end. But I definitely think we hit on obviously we didn't touch on Penn State, who's very highly rated also. So, we'll see what the season brings. We'll see what the end of the year looks like. But I definitely think we hit on 5 of the more highly thought of programs and teams in the country. So, we'll see how it all turns out, man. We're 8 days away, from big time football, and obviously we're both in the same position, man. We can't wait to get this thing started and kicked off. And, we'll have football. Obviously it started a couple weekends ago with the Hall of Fame game. We'll have it all the way through till February, which I think is absolutely amazing, man. It's my favorite time of the sports season. Yeah, man, we'll see where it goes, man. We'll continue to bring you some content. Now we'll actually have some football to talk about. And again, man, we can't wait. Tell them where they can find you, Russ.
You can find me on Twitter, or X now, Russ on Deck 2. Wednesday nights at 7:30 here on FTSN for On Deck, and obviously once a week here on College Blitz with my man Q. But I got nothing. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can find me, I Hate Football Podcast, on YouTube, Hate Football Pod on X/Twitter, I Hate Football Podcast on Instagram. If you want to hit me up there. look up all the rest of our channel mates here on FTSN, FTSN Extra. A lot of great content from a lot of great people that you'll be getting here. Coming up now as the season starts and everything, man. Like I said, everybody on the networks are super excited, ready to get this thing going for real, get away from, these joint practices and all that, man. Get some actual football started. Get fantasy going, because I'm sure, just about everybody on the networks is doing some form of fantasy football. Get your parlays going, man. It's getting real, man. It's getting real. So
I haven't bet since March Madness.
Oh, really?
I know I'm going to bet during college football.
Yeah, well, once I'm in Florida, I can play some good bets. Otherwise, I just got to play some prop bets here in Georgia. So, but still get with it, man. We'll still do a little something. But so yeah, man. Anything else?
Hard rock your money there.
Yeah, that's how it goes most of the time. So,
I got
nothing else, man. All right, brother. Well, listen, man. Enjoyed it. We'll make it happen again soon. Sometime next week, we'll get together, bring you guys another episode, man. But until then, from my guy Russ, I am Q. This is the College Blitz podcast, and we'll see you guys really soon. Y'all have a good night.